This video is sponsored by Blinkist. Click on the link below to get free access to thousands of non-fiction book summaries. Money feels a little different to billionaires. Imagine spending $40 million online for a private jet, or buying a $13 million mansion without even looking at it. Well, this is a reality for Mark Cuban, who became a billionaire after he sold his company Broadcast.com to Yahoo in 1999. After the sale, he bought his favorite basketball team, the Dallas Mavericks, for $285 million and bought the players their own private jet for $36 million. He later became an investor in the television show Shark Tank and has invested in over 80 companies since the beginning of the show. So let's take a look at Mark Cuban's 6 rules of money. Rule number 1. Work on your mission even if no one believes in it. Cuban says that if you're innovating and bringing new ideas to the market, you will always find those who don't believe in what you're doing. He says to stay the course and work on your mission even if others don't believe in it.
Okay, I'm investing a lot of my saved money into this whole idea of netcasting, right, or internet broadcasting in early 1995 when people didn't even know what the internet was. That was all risk because I literally was putting everything that I had on the line for something. People just laughed at me and said, wait, audio over the internet. You know you can turn on the radio. You know you can turn on the TV. Yeah, but you don't get it. No, that's just dumb, all right? And so being able to overcome all that resistance, because remember back then, A, you had to have a PC. B, you had to know what a modem was and install it. C, you had to know what the internet was, and then you had to download a TCP/IP client that worked over a modem and then connected to a browser that you probably didn't even know what it was or how to download it. And we had to take it on faith that all this was going to grow.
A few months after the IPO, Yahoo bought out Broadcast.com for $6 billion. You remember the date? I remember the date, and I'll tell you
April
why.
1st. Yeah, it was April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day,
yeah.
1999.
Yeah. Closed in July. Yeah.
It's been said that that was one of the worst acquisitions. The question I wanted to ask you was, well, not from Mark's standpoint. The question is, did they overpay in the top of the dot-com bubble, or did they not execute on the plan?
They didn't execute. First of all, they paid in stock. It wasn't cash. So their stock was as inflated, if not more. And so they paid in stock. And think about it. If you could go back to 1999 and have the company that dominated streaming, right? So we had hundreds of internet radio stations. So we were Pandora and Spotify, right? We had really started video. We dominated all video streaming on the internet. It wasn't even close, right? There was no YouTube. There was no anything else.
6-7 years before YouTube.
YouTube, right? So, radio stations, online music, customized radio stations, customized video. We were, integrating advertising, doing indexing of the spoken word and all this kind of stuff for index.broadcast. And if you can go back and say you get to own that entire industry for $5.7 billion in stock,
right,
that would have been a hell of a buy.
Rule number 2. Work as if someone is trying to take everything from you, because they are. We live in a hyper-competitive world in the midst of the internet age. This means that at all times, there is always someone trying to get better. As Cuban says, you got to know your business better than anyone in the world and act as if someone is trying to take it all away from you, because they are.
When you walk in the room, when you start a business and you start to talk about somebody, you're never in a vacuum with no competition, unless you're just extremely lucky. And if there's going to be competition, that means somebody else knows your business as well as you do when you get started. And if you walk into a competitive environment and they still know more about the business than you do and more about your customers, you're going to lose. But most people don't consider that. They don't do the work. They don't learn more about their industry. They don't know even about their business. And so you've got to put in the effort to know more about your industry than anybody else. And that's the brains part, and that's the effort part as well. Because look, if you're competing with me, you better know what you're doing, otherwise I'm going to kick your ass. But whatever industry you pick, if you outwork everybody, if you try to be a little smarter than everybody, if you try to be a better salesperson than everybody, if you try to be better prepared than everybody, you've got your best chance. Because if you don't do it and somebody else does, I have the saying, work like someone's trying to take it all away from you. I actually work like someone's spending 24 hours, working 24 hours to take it all away from you. And that's kind of the way I look at it.
Rule number 3, learn the skills of the future. The world is changing, and is changing fast. If we don't adapt, we will be left behind.
But you've got to take that step. This is the price of poker. There's no future that doesn't have ambient computing or voice activation. None.
That's super cool. I just can't imagine what the future is going to be like.
It's great.
5 years from now is crazy.
But you know what? Like my dad used to say, we don't live in the world we were born into. If you just think about the year you were born and the stuff that was around, it's crazy. A 90-year-old that was born in 1928.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, people weren't, flying commercially then. There no radio, there was radio, but 1920 was when they really started broadcasting radio, right? No TV, just things that are archaic already now that weren't around for people who are alive today, and it's not going to change. It's not going to slow down. I think if anything, it'll accelerate, and you could hypothesize about our future, and there's a lot of different directions it can go.
Rule number 4, try different things. Most of us have little to no idea exactly what it is that we want to do or what will be the winning idea that will make us successful. And the truth is that we won't know unless we try different things. As Cuban says, we only have to be right once.
Particularly if you're young today, curiosity is great. Always learning and trying to find new things and being curious about new things, because that's what leads you to that path. Trying to figure out in advance, that's hard because you don't know what you don't know.
I always say he or she who experiments the most wins.
Yeah, I agree.
Thomas
100%.
Edison had almost 950 experiments before he came up with a light bulb.
It's okay to get it wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay to fail, particularly when you're young.
Yeah.
What the hell, go back to your room and make your bed because you didn't get that business right?
Yeah,
why not?
Rule number 5, it pays to be nice. There's a common saying that says, people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. Cuban says that something that he learned as he built and invested in companies is that being nice is actually very beneficial, not just to be a better person, but also when building great companies.
It became apparent to me that the nicer I got, the more effective people around me got, the more productive they got, the more sales we had. I was undervaluing nice. I started my first company after I got fired from a job, and I was 24, just turned 24. My first real company, if you will. And I was always go, 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 all consumed, right? Live it, eat it, sleep it, breathe it. And I knew people couldn't keep up or work as hard as many hours as me, but I wanted them to. And we were successful, and we didn't have much turnover, but I could have done a better job if I were nicer. And broadcast.com, I got a little bit nicer, right, as things. But then once I got to the Mavs and some of these other companies, and Todd reminded me, and really told me, just nice works. And so when you find yourself going to work, when you're finding yourself dealing with customers, when you're finding yourself making decisions, we all get that agita, right? That feeling in our stomach, that tenseness, that stress at various points in times that we all have to go through. But sometimes you just need to calm the fuck down, right? Take a deep breath and be nice. Because you'll find out that people will do much more. If you reduce the stress of people and you're nice, you're going to have such a huge advantage. No matter what your technology is, no matter how it compares, even if it's a download for an app, people will still have to deal with you. Your culture will come through. Being nice, being supportive, reducing stress, that all comes through even in an app.
Rule number 6, know the rules of the game and use them to your advantage. Something that most people don't know is that Mark Cuban almost lost over 95% of his money after he sold his company to Yahoo. He would have lost over $1 billion if he didn't know the rules of the game. See, Mark and his partners sold Broadcast.com to Yahoo for $5.7 billion, but they did not receive cash. Yahoo bought the company with their shares. So Mark Cuban received 14.6 million shares of Yahoo for his share of the company at $95 per share. This means that the sale of his company gave him around $1.4 billion worth of Yahoo shares. This was in 1999, but he began noticing that many internet companies were crashing in value. He thought that it was only a matter of time before Yahoo, where he had over $1 billion worth of shares, crashed. But there was a problem. He could not sell his shares right away after the sale as part of his agreement. So Cuban created what is known as one of the best trades in history when he used what is called options to protect his wealth. If you're not sure what options are, here's a quick 30-second crash course on stock options. An option is a contract that gives the buyer the right to buy or sell stocks at a specific price on or before the contract expires. There are two main contracts when using options, a put or a call, and each contract represents 100 stocks of the chosen company. A put option is a contract that gives you the right to sell shares at a specific price. Put options are known as insurance for your money because if the stock goes down, you have the right to sell the stock at the higher price of your option. For example, if you own a stock at $10 a share and you buy a put option for $8 a share, which is called the strike price, and the price of the stock drops to $2 a share, you are able to sell the stock for $8 a share, protecting 80% of your money, minus the cost of the contract. But if the price goes up to $14 a share, you can choose not to exercise your option of $8 per share since the value of the stock is higher than the option, and only lose the cost of the contract. When someone buys a call option, the buyer of the call option can force the seller to sell his stock at the predetermined amount. When someone buys a call option, the buyer of the call option can force the seller to sell the stock at the predetermined amount. So for example, if someone sold a call option for his stock at $15 per share and the stock goes up to $30 per share, the buyer of the contract can purchase the seller's stock at $15 per share even though the stock is worth $30, making this a bargain for the contract buyer. Okay, now that we understand options, here's what Cuban did to protect his money. Since Mark Cuban had 14.6 million shares of Yahoo, he bought 146,000 put contracts to protect all of his shares in case the Yahoo shares crashed. This meant that he would have to pay millions of dollars in contracts to insure his money. To avoid paying this, he sold another 146,000 call contracts to cover the cost of the put contracts, making his trade virtually free. He bought his put options at a strike price of $80 per share. Remember, his stock was worth $95 per share, so he had a small loss margin. He was protected if the stock dropped below $80 per share. But he also sold call options with a $205 strike price. So, if the price of the stock dropped below $80 per share, he was insured with his put option. But if the price went over $205, he would not be able to profit from anything over that price. Yet, if he was wrong and the stock didn't crash and instead grew in value, he would still have a margin of profit up to $205 per share. Interestingly, by January of 2000, the price of Yahoo stock skyrocketed to $237 per share, making his trade look like a very expensive mistake. But in late 2002, when the dot-com bubble burst, Yahoo stock was trading at an all-time low of $13 per share, making this trade a stroke of genius that allowed him to protect around $1 billion. So educating ourselves to know the rules of the game can be really profitable. Which is why I am very excited for this week's sponsor, Blinkist. Blinkist allows you to consume a book in less than 20 minutes. Blinkist is for anyone who cares about learning but doesn't have a lot of time to do so. They take the key insights from over 3,000 nonfiction bestsellers in over 27 categories and gather them together in 15-minute reads. Now the best part is that you can read it if you're more of a reader, but they also have audio explainers that help you understand more about the core ideas. And since it's in your phone, you can take it anywhere. You can consume a book on your way to work or while working out at the gym. And even if you're flying, because you can download and listen offline. See, over 14 million people are using Blinkist already to grow their knowledge on finances, business, leadership, self-improvement, mindfulness, happiness, and much, much more. The reason why I personally like Blinkist is because it's so simple to use. All you have to do is open the app, search for the book you want, and that's it. You'll be reading or listening in less than 20 seconds. And now, Blinkist has teamed up with popular podcasts to blink those too, so you can get the main ideas of a podcast even faster. Listen, if you want to expand your knowledge and make sure your time is well spent, then Blinkist is the place to go. And I was able to get 100 of you guys a whole week of Blinkist absolutely free when you click on the link in the description of this video. You can try it out and cancel if you want, but if you decide to keep learning with Blinkist, you'll get an additional 25% off your full membership on top of the free week. So to claim your unlimited free 7-day access, make sure to click in the link in the description of this video and start leveling up your knowledge. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.